Alrighty, good afternoon and welcome to our webinar focused on educating yourself on ONEbox and how to administer naloxone. My name is Casey Stevens and I'm a communications specialist here at Quality Insights. Everyone today has entered the webinar on mute, but we will have a discussion following the presentation if time allows. If you have questions or comments, feel free to drop those in the Q&A box, the chat, or at the end of the presentation, feel free to raise your hand and ask your question aloud. I'm going to now let my colleague, Lisa Sagwitz, introduce our guest today.
Thank you, Casey. Today we have the West Virginia Drug Intervention Institute, known by the initials WVDII, for our presentation. WVDII is an independent 501c entity with a primary mission to reduce opioid and drug-related deaths. And what impresses me about this group is that they walk the walk and talk the talk. A little background on how today's educational session came to be. September is National Recovery Month. September 14th is Save a Life Day. And myself and some colleagues had the privilege to hear a ONEbox presentation a few months ago and thought this would be a great session for the organizations we work with in Pennsylvania and West Virginia to recognize National Recovery Month. There's been a little change in speakers today. So Lilith McGee is with us. She's an outreach coordinator at WVDII. She creates educational programming and medication safety program. Lilith is passionate about promoting evidence-based prevention strategies and identifying gaps in current practices. Lilith, we're happy to have you with us today.
Thank you so much for having me. So I'll go ahead and jump right in. So this is the ONEbox. I'm going to go ahead and open this up. So here it is. It's really small and it's portable. It's a opioid overdose reversal kit. So this is portable. It's easy to carry with you, and it even has hooks, so you can put it up on a wall and have it front facing to the public, or you can even have it behind, like for libraries, for example, we have them behind rotation desks or circulation desks. And then some businesses will keep them in break rooms, for example, but as long as you know where it is, that's the most important part. I always tell people to keep this box wherever you would keep a first aid kit or wherever a fire extinguisher may be, because this is really an emergency response kit. So you want to keep everything close together should you need one thing and have to go get others at the same time. So inside, when you open it up, it can fit 2 boxes of naloxone inside. We have Narcan here just for display, but you can fit other kinds in here as well. We also have a PPE kit, and this comes with a CPR mask, gloves, and wipes. And then when you register the box with us, we send you a year's supply of it for free. So this is the really great part about the box. Not only does it provide the emergency response that I'm about to show you, but it also provides training. So you can use this as a training tool for new staff, or you can even have it for onboarding purposes. So when people are filling out their paperwork, when they're starting on, they can have this as part of that onboarding process. It's also just a really good refresher to have. So I will go ahead and open this up. So inside it says to call 911 and pull the tab. When you pull the tab, it goes immediately into emergency response.
First off, let's take a deep breath.
It's a little hard to see on the camera, but there is a video playing in here.
Gently shaking them and
I
shouting.
think you can kind of see.
Use your knuckles against
It's
the
always hard to show up on camera. So let me show you a few features inside of the box.
First off, let's do the first thing. First off,
Excuse me.
primero que nada, respire profundo. First off, let's take a deep breath.
Okay, so inside of the box, there is a replay function. There's training mode and it's available in Spanish as well. It also has a charging component inside. Now the battery lasts 5 years, but should you need to charge it beforehand, if you're using it really often, like several times a day for training purposes or for emergency purposes, you can always just go back and just plug it in and recharge it. So I am going to share with you the video that's inside the box so you can actually see it. So when we first open up the box, it goes into emergency response mode. And inside, we have Jan Rader here. She is the fire chief in Huntington, West Virginia. We're located in Charleston. Huntington is pretty close to us. It's also known as the opioid overdose capital of the world. And unofficially, Jan Rader is known for having the most saves using naloxone. So we figured she would be the perfect one to show us how to use naloxone. So I'll go ahead and play this video for you guys.
First off, let's take a deep breath. Step number 1 is to check to see if somebody really is unresponsive. You can do that by gently shaking them and shouting, or you can use your knuckles against the sternum to see if you get a reaction. If you find this person is unresponsive, please call 911 immediately. The next step would be to remove the safety barrier devices for you, the rescuer. Once you're protected, remove a single dose naloxone from the ONEbox. You will insert this into the nostril. As you aim the tip towards the ear, you will push the plunger firmly. If you find that this person is not breathing proficiently, you want to use the rescue breathing mask face shield that is in the ONE kit. Push the light block down into the mouth of the victim, raise up the chin, pinch the nose, and breathe. Once spontaneous breathing returns, we want to place this patient in what we call the recovery position until the paramedics arrive. And that would be on their left side with at least one hand over their head and a bent knee to keep them in place. Once the paramedics arrive, you want to give them information on everything that you have done for this patient, and you will give them any used or unused naloxone.
So this is the video that plays inside when you first open it. So really what we want to do is provide that on-demand emergency response training in case somebody does recognize that there is an overdose going on. And it's really helpful even if you have been trained on how to use naloxone. I know for myself, in an instance where I actually had to respond to 2 overdoses at one time, I forgot to put the person, the second person, into recovery position. And had I had something like the ONEbox, that's something that would have been reminded. So I maybe would have put them in recovery position. But also it puts naloxone in proximity where overdoses could occur. So it's close by and you know exactly where it is. So the second video I'm going to show you is the long form training video. So again, this is so businesses or organizations can train their employees or volunteers on demand. So you don't ever have to have people go through an entire course or have someone come in to do the training. You can always just pull out this box whenever it's convenient. So whenever it works for your schedule, you can just bring it out and do the short training. It's about a 5-minute long video, so I will show you that here.
So the first thing that you want to do if you come across someone you think has overdosed from an opioid is something like fentanyl or heroin, some type of pain medication, is really look for 2 things. So the first thing is that they are not breathing or not breathing well. So if they're not breathing very often, or maybe they're taking very shallow breaths, they may start to turn blue. So blue lips or blue fingertips, maybe even like a gurgling sound in the back of the throat. All of those things would indicate that they're not getting enough oxygen, especially if they're starting to get those blue lips and blue fingertips and maybe even a gray tint to the skin. So not breathing or not breathing well. And then also if they are not responding to you. So you can yell at them, you can kind of talk to them, lightly shake them. You can even do what's called a sternal rub, which is where you take your knuckle and you run it along their breastbone with a little bit of pressure. And that will hopefully wake them up if it's not an overdose. So if you notice that those two things are present, so not breathing or not breathing well and not responding to you, then you would assume that it could be potentially an opioid overdose. So once you establish that it's an overdose, you want to try to get them safely to the ground if you can. So that's going to be getting them down to the ground, laying them flat on their back, and then opening their airway. Opening their airway can allow a little bit of oxygen to get in, even if they're breathing just a little bit, and that can help save their life potentially by just allowing them to get a little bit of oxygen. So once they're down on the ground, you want to make sure that you call 911. So that's kind of first and foremost. Make sure you get either someone to call 911 for you or call yourself. And then you can go ahead and administer naloxone. So each naloxone is going to be a little bit different on how you administer it. But the one that I'm going to talk about today is the Narcan, or the 4 milligram nasal naloxone. So once they're down on the ground, airway open with their head tilted back, you want to take the device out of the box, and it looks just like this. And you're going to put 2 fingers on top of the device and have your thumb ready to push the button once you put it into the nose. So you're going to insert it all the way into the individual's nose until the bottom of their nose touches the top of your fingers. Once it's in the nose, tilt it slightly towards the ear, and then you're going to just press that button while it's in the nose. Once you do that, you've administered the dose. So you're going to take it out. You're going to hold on to this and give it to EMS when they arrive. So once you've administered that dose of naloxone, you can begin doing rescue breathing if you know how and you feel comfortable. Of course, try to use some type of barrier to protect yourself the best that you can. If they don't start to breathe on their own or start to breathe better within 3 minutes, you can take another device out of your box, because there are 2 in the box, and you can administer the second dose. When you administer the second dose, go into the other nostril if you can. If the other nostril is completely clogged, then you want to re-administer in the same nostril you did the first time. After you've done that, you want to just, again, continue rescue breathing if they're not beginning to breathe on their own, and then continue to wait for EMS. If they start to wake up or start to move, start to breathe, start to show any signs that they're coming out of that overdose, you want to put them in what's called the recovery position. And so the recovery position is on their side with their knee up so they don't roll over onto their face. And once they're in that position, you want to back away. So put some space between you and that individual. That protects them if they start to vomit, but that also protects you if they come out of that overdose a little bit aggressive. Oftentimes people come out aggressively. It's not because they're bad people. It's just because it's kind of this fight or flight response, kind of a panic moment, where they don't know what happened, they don't know who you are, and they don't know what you're trying to do to them. So they're just trying to protect themselves. So give them some space, let them come out of it, wait with them until EMS arrives. And of course, do your best to, just try to talk to them and try to keep them as calm as possible. So after the overdose has occurred and EMS has arrived, you want to make sure to provide them with any of the doses that you gave so they can dispose of them correctly. And then you want to make sure that you report this to poison control as well. And the form is available with whatever location that you go to pick up your naloxone. So if you do need another kit, you can go to a location that should be available to be able to provide naloxone to you. Side effects of naloxone really are just putting somebody into withdrawal. So if I give myself naloxone right now with no drug in my system, I'm really not going to have any side effects. But when you give this to someone that has overdosed, the side effects come from putting that person into withdrawal. So the side effects that we see are shaking, a little bit of shaking, a little bit of sweating, nausea and vomiting, their heart rate may go up, and their blood pressure may go up. So those are just things to look out for, but these are all normal responses to naloxone.
So if you were watching that video, you actually just got trained on how to use naloxone. And that's also something I can go over. So I'm going to open up the floor to any questions about the ONEbox right now.
I don't see any questions yet, but they can be put into either chat or Q&A.
Let me share a resource with you guys. So on our website, and this is publicly available. Let's see, let me go back here. On our website, you can go to wvdii.org and go over here to ONEbox. And we have lots of information here. We have additional Zoom webinars, which are similar to this. And we also have more information about our quick start, like how to actually get the ONEbox up and ready. So we have an entire SOP for you guys. And there's also a Q&A. So if you were to have any questions, we send all of these things with the kit. So the kit, again, it comes with a PPE kit, and that's a CPR mask, gloves, and wipes. Inside of the box, there are written instructions. So if for some reason the video wouldn't work, or if it were dead, then you could read through here for directions on how to respond to that overdose. There's also that QR code right here. So if you needed to, you could scan the QR code, and the video that I just showed you will pull up, so you can follow along with that as well. And then again, it is available in Spanish. The emergency mode is. So we really wanted it to be as accessible as possible to anyone who may need it. So we've made it pretty easy to put emergency response and that training component into one box, really, into one small box. And it's really light. It's so light that even a child could pick it up and run with it should they need to. So there's a few more things in here, and of course our information. It talks about where to store the box, anything, any information about installation, about keeping it in a vehicle if you can or not. Personally, I keep one in my vehicle, but if it gets really hot or really cold, I do take the Naloxone out and keep it on my person at all times. We also recommend that you don't store it above 104 degrees Fahrenheit. So that, and then try to keep it away from very extreme temperatures. Although recent studies have come out showing that even in extreme hot temperatures and extreme cold temperatures, that the Naloxone still is effective. The ONEbox, because of the battery, we don't know entirely how extremely hot or how extremely cold it will work. So I see a question in here about Spanish. Yes, there is a video in Spanish on the administration of Naloxone inside of the box. Moving along through here with maintenance, we recommend that someone check the box at least once a month to make sure that it is filled with Naloxone and that the box is fully charged and working properly. And then also to see if the Naloxone that's inside is still good to use. So if it's expired or not. And if it is, if you're in the state of West Virginia, then we can supply you with additional doses of free Naloxone. If not, then we can connect you with people in your area that can provide free or very affordable Naloxone. Does anyone have any other questions?
We have one in the Q&A that asked, is there a video in Spanish of the administration of Naloxone?
Yes, inside it does have a Spanish version. So all you have to do is open it up and press the button here
First off, let's take,
that says Spanish.
primero que nada.
I know you guys
respire
can't see it
profundo.
very well, but the
El
video
primer
is
paso
playing.
es
Oh, here we
asegurarse
go.
de que la persona no responde. Puede certificar los
It's a little difficult with the screens, but I just found the right angle. So really that's kind of a wrap on the ONEbox. I did go over some naloxone training with you guys via the last video that I showed with Dr. Acree. So do you guys have any questions on naloxone administration that I can answer for you guys?
I don't have a question, but I do have a comment. When I had listened to the original presentation with Kenny Matthews, what he had shown was a picture of an office with their red first aid kit mounted to the wall, and then the purple ONEbox kit mounted right next to it. So if there was a situation that occurred, everybody knew exactly where to go, grab the box and take care of what was needed. So I thought that was nice. And the color purple distinguishes the naloxone kit too.
Right, it does. And that color purple is also really special because it's a color that signifies recovery. And the really great thing about these boxes is that it's made by people in recovery here in West Virginia. So we employ several people who are in long-term recovery now who put these boxes together. And yeah.
Another thing he mentioned was what distinguishes ONEbox as ONEbox is the video, that there are other types of boxes, but without the instruction. So again, it can help anybody, whether you're knowledgeable or not knowledgeable, if that occurs.
Right. There are other types of boxes. Personally, the ones that I've seen, they're pretty big and bulky. They're also very heavy. I couldn't imagine running across like a hallway in a school or in a hospital with something that large, because it really is like, it's very big. It's almost like a desktop computer, like that type of big. But this is something you can pick up and easily just run with. And then you also don't have to break any glass. And the instructions are just laid out for you. You just open the box up, get the naloxone out, pull the tab, and listen to the instructions. You don't have to read and go back and forth. You can just listen and watch the video to respond to an overdose and potentially save a life.
Thank you. And we do have another question that came in. Can the box be provided for use out of state? And how do you request one?
Yes, so they are available for purchase on our website. And I'll also provide my email here in the chat. So if you are interested in making a purchase, you can let me know, or if you're ready to make a purchase, then you can go on our website and do so. We have a small discount for nonprofits. So as long as you provide the paperwork that reflects that you're a nonprofit, then we'll honor that. And then also, hold on one second. Oops, there we go. Okay. Also, a lot of people are using grant funding for this. The boxes are $250 a piece. But for nonprofits, it ends up being about $200 per box. Are there any other questions I can answer for you guys? And then the link to visit us is wbdii.org/ONEbox.
Thanks, Lilith. I
Thanks so
meant to
much.
send that to everyone.
That's okay. Thanks so much.
Any
Alrighty.
thoughts? Did the group enjoy the presentation and learn something today?
And if you guys have any questions on how to use naloxone, that's also something that you can ask about right now too.
While we wait for any additional questions to come in, I want to ask that everyone that attended, please answer a short evaluation of today's webinar. As soon as you log off of the Zoom, you'll receive a pop-up window. If you've got a few moments just to take those survey questions, that would be greatly appreciated. Lilith, thank you so much for joining us. It looks like we do have a question in the chat here. Someone said, very good presentation, thanks.
Okay. Thanks so much for having me today.
Thank you all. Hope you have a great rest of your day.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.